Hey everyone, Coach Cam here from Figure 4 BJJ. You're about to watch the raw footage of our first seminar at Willow Point BJJ, where we covered some of our favorite butterfly half guard techniques. If you want to skip ahead or revisit something, check out the timestamps in the description below. Quick ask, if you like this kind of content, hit like, share it with a teammate, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's jump right into it.
So for the no-gi portion, we'll start by going over the same sweep, but the no-gi variant. So in this case, because I don't have the lapel to grip, in no-gi we're going to grip the shoulder. And same as when we grip the lapel, we're going to use our elbow to off-balance our opponent. So we off-balance them, we start bringing our mass into them. We look for that gap. As we see the gap, we shove our elbow through the gap. Where the elbow comes, the arm will follow. So we just windshield wiper our hand through. And this time, because we have no belt to grab, we're going to grab the shoulder here. So anytime we do a corner throw sweep like this, we need to first start pushing the body. We have to round those shoulders. So if he's got really good posture here, it doesn't matter what's going on with the sweep because his posture's so good. So what I like to do is start to try to chuck him down. Okay? He's going to off the grab. We're going to pummel through. And this time, we can't pull back. We're forced to push towards the stomach. We're going to push right into the stomach and hope that if there's a fight, we at least get somewhere in this area here where the post is. And then I'm going to start pushing these shoulders downwards. And same as yesterday, we're going to let go and push our foot into the mat. This hook that we have on the bottom is meant to keep him. So when we let go of this hook, we're deciding no longer to keep him and to push him into the sweep. Okay? So I'm kind of doing a few things at the same time. I'm pushing this towards the stomach, I'm dropping down onto the shoulder, I'm dropping this, and then I'm starting to bring my hips up and this way, okay? So, coming up, straight in, headlock. Do a bit of review, but there's nothing that a little repetition won't hurt, right? So I'm going to grab here, punch this through, grab the shoulder this time. The advantage of the shoulder is obviously I can start pushing him, right? So maybe I opt to grab here. He's weighted, and I feel like I can't grab here. So I'm going to use my head to push him, and now I'm going to pull his arm into that gap. Pull his arm. Now watch. The first part of the sweep is over because now his shoulders are rounded. So now all I have to do is start bringing my hips into him. What we're not going to do is leg press him because he'll be able to keep his posture. So I want to be glued to him the whole way. So I draw power from the mats, and I start to bring my hips through. And keep yourself into a ball. If you don't, and you start extending your core out, he's going to push you into half. Grabbing, pushing him, bringing my elbow through all the way to the shoulder. Once I'm here, he's pretty locked in, so I'm going to get fixated on what's going on with his arm. In this case, he's weighted again, so I'm going to push him off balance, grab. Pull it into the stomach, and then remember, once I decide he's going for a ride, I have to take this off. But notice how tight my core is. So I come through, and I remain the ball. If I don't remain the ball and I start doing this, then I get pulled into half guard, and now I've got to pass. I prefer to be in down off the top. So instead, I'm going for the sweep, and I stay nice and tight. Get into the head arm, and then from here, we're in a super dominant position. So we get to the underhook, and last time we swept our opponent because he let me bring his mass this way. So anytime we're looking for the Sumi Gaeshi, when he brings his mass this way, this is time to sweep. And he's now wise to that. So he says, well, what I'm going to try is kind of lean back. right? Because you're not going to bring me into that. But when he does that, that creates a big gap. So what I'm going to do is the heist up. So I use this butterfly hook to push myself out. So I'm creating off of him with the butterfly hook, and I bring this knee up. And now I'm going to tap the knee, and at the same time, this is probably what people do wrong the most. I need to cut this knee across the line of his stomach. Okay. So I tap the knee. I start using my head to bring it towards this way to mold him over, and I bring that knee through. So tap, knee comes through. From here, he's probably not going to let me come through, so I'm going to have to pummel around the head, around the arm, get to the head. From here, my favorite way to get into side control is grab here, lock him in. This is going to give me my hand for if he decides to buck. And then if I can, I'm going to bring my head down to the mat. And I'm going to use the torque of grabbing his armpit to drive his chin down. Okay. Why do we drive the chin this way? Because we don't want him turning in and regarding. So we want him looking away from us. If anything, we want him to turn away. So I've got my free hand, my head's on the mat. My knees are as tight to my training partner as possible. And then we can go from there.
Okay. That means like you just like doing one cross.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, that's good enough. So here, boom, grab, start to push him off balance, get into here. He's like, no way. Okay. So I'm like, okay, I sense that his balance is off this way, which gives me that gap. Come through, this comes out. So onto my knee, not standing. Then I'm going to do a knee tap. So the knee comes across, and I cut right into it. Boom. It's almost like a knee tap, right? But yeah, you're right. Like my knee comes down just like a knuckle. Okay. This comes out, and now I'm looking to pummel through. So we might play like this for a while, kind of fight, but eventually I'm going to get through. I grab the head, bring the knees tight, and I lock my hand on the shoulder. This one comes out, prevent the butt. I bring my head down, and I pin. And then there I kind of let them go crazy for a bit, and then I'll advance from there. Okay, now maybe he's not going to do that, but I decide I'm just going to use my head position to do the same. So I start pushing him. He lets it happen, great. I take this out, come up, tap the knee, come through. So, I get to my underhook. Now, ideally, I want really good head position. But, you know, life's not ideal. Sometimes he's going to win good head position on me. When this happens, he starts to drive my shoulders to the mat. And in a horrible scenario, I go double shoulders here. So, what I want is to have that good head position. Once he pummels in and I lose it, as I come down, I'm going to wrap his head like this. Okay. And then I'm going to have one long arm and one short arm. And I'm going to pinch his head here. Okay. So from here, I'm going to start to get up. And as I come up, I've got control of his head here. And I'm going to shift my hips. So I kind of butt scoop this way, and then I'm going to look the other way. So now I'm in a double butterfly scenario. This is called a pinch headlock. So I have a long arm and a short arm. I'm pinching on the head, and then I'm switching. From here, as always, I'm trying to get straight into my single chest wrap.
Do you ever smother people with their own arm across their own face?
Never.
No?
Not once. No, yeah.
No, I just mean, like, compared to Mother's Milk concept.
Yeah, no.
Like, the way you have an arm across his own face.
Yeah, so like I'll try to close that mouth off however I can.
Yeah.
Right? So if he puts his arm above his mouth and I can see that, I'll definitely
Just
yeah.
lean on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I get
Sorry.
my underhook, no worries. Yeah, I get to my underhook. He fights the good head position. Punches me down. As that happens, I'm gonna grab. Okay. So if he allows me to keep this, then I'm just gonna get up, shift, and go for the sweep. Okay. The second variation that I want you guys to try out is gonna be the shoulder crunch. So what'll happen? He goes to push me down, and I slapped him with a pinch headlock last time, right? So now he decides to start pulling the head out. As he does, I'm going to pinch his shoulders here, and I get underneath that neck, okay? This is similar to what we did yesterday, except yesterday we did the far side, today we're going to do the near side. So when I have the shoulder crunch, what I want you guys to make sure you do is pin his shoulder to your chest. Okay? If I don't and I'm kind of loose here, you're just going to pull it out. Okay? So I have to keep this glued. He's going to be harsh on his shoulder, and then as I come, so now the structure of his body is on to me, right? So when I go down, he goes down. So I go down, and I use that to sweep. And I'm going to get into my single chest sweep. First one. Lose it, I get into the pinch headlock. Now, when I'm in pinch headlock, I can have one long arm, which is this arm, and one short arm, which is this arm. So I go here, and I shorten it up. Okay? Now, if you're super tight here, he shouldn't be able to get this head out. Okay? So I'm going to come up, and just like yesterday, I use this to kind of push myself, give myself space, so I can get up. I'm pinched here. And then I'm going to shift. And sweep. Okay. Alternating. So just underneath. Yeah. He pulls that head out. As he does, I pinch that down. And then I shift. And I use that sweep. Around the head. Get to the far side and pinch. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Yeah.
Does this work if you go down on the one arm and not if you're on full shoulders? Do you still approach it the same if you're on just the one?
Preferably, I'd always like to sweep off one shoulder, but I suppose if it didn't go well, I could probably sweep him either way, especially with the shoulder crunch, because there's just so much torque here. Okay, so if he was like to mow me down, I could still do it. Now with pinch headlock, I don't have as much turning force, so in my mind, it wouldn't be as effective. You can still get it, but it's more work. Yeah.
You're starting the move with your right leg over his left leg, like his left right calf, I guess, on the other side. But at what point are you switching to the butterfly on the right leg?
So once I start pushing out, good question. So, right? So I've lost that position completely. I start getting pushed back. So here I'm almost on two shoulders, right? So I'm gonna push out with this one, which gives me space to come up, and then I come up. Double butterfly. So this is why half butterfly is so versatile, being able to use it with half guard and double butterfly. Because eventually what happens is we just end up getting into double butterfly, which is the case here. So now I've got both hooks and I can go for the sweep. Yeah. Good? Go for another 5 minutes. Ready? 1, 2. Of course, everyone's favorite part is the submission. So we'll get straight into the shoulder crunch submissions. So again, I'm in that position. I get to my underhook. He pushes me down. I go pinch headlock. Sometimes before you even get up, he'll start pulling his head out here. As he does, I'll kind of transition to the shoulder crunch here. Now I'm in the seated position, and I'm going to kind of scoot my butt back a bit so I can put one foot on his hip and the second foot on his hip. Now I'm going to fall back the way that I was faced before. Now I'm going to use that torque off the hip to start extending myself. I'm trying to attack this elbow. Okay? So I'm going to place my arm where the elbow will be once I start extending. Okay? And I start using my feet to extend my body until my elbow meets his elbow. Right now, his elbow's in the right position, so I'm going to start to extend. As I do, I find the elbow, our elbows are matched, and I come to it. So I'm kind of doing like a crunch here. I miss, I get to the pinch headlock. I'm going to come up, but he starts pulling his head out right away. So as I do, I just transition on as I come up. Now I decide I want to go for the finish, so I'm going to extend myself out, hip, falling back down the same way I was going. So now it's my whole body on his arm here. I'm going to start to extend, keep my feet on the hips, extend, get onto that elbow, and come through. Okay. Now, that being said, this is mostly a setup. Because if a guy feels like you're going to do this to his arm, if he's any good, or she's any good, she's not going to allow that to happen. So as that happens, he says, no way, starts to bring his head up. As he brings his head up, go back down a little slower. As he brings his head up, I'm going to glue my knee to his shoulder. And then I'm going to start to come this way and pivot this around. And I get to my top one. Okay. Now, of course, I can start doing my adjustments and get into the position. But if he hides his arm or escapes it somehow, or for those of you that have shorter legs, it's going to be difficult for you to even walk around a bigger person. So I learned this from a Brazilian instructional, and I really liked it. So I'm going to keep this leg straight. This leg is going to be my pivot leg. I'm going to use it to smash his shoulder into the side of his carotid artery. Now, his head, I'm going to grab his head and start to pull down. So I bring my hips up. This leg stays. This leg goes in. So hips up, pulling, and get onto the strength. So works is my legs are like a V. So I'm pulling him. His head was right here at one point, but I'm pulling him down into the V. And as I do, I close that V off. Okay, so pulling him into the V, close it off. Okay. He pushes me down. I grab the pinch headlock. Maybe he escapes the head before I even do anything. So I go to the shoulder crunch here. I come up. Okay, pinch that shoulder. I've got enough room. If I don't, I'll kind of wiggle to get my feet out. Now I start looking back the same way that I was in. And start to extend out. Come through. He says no way. As he does, I like to grip here. So now he comes up. I pivot. And I switch. If I want, I can start going to my traditional triangles. Go ahead. When I have them in a traditional triangle, really what I'm doing with this leg here is I'm pulling that head down into the V. Okay? So now point of that, let's say he hides the arm. We could get into this battle where I'm trying to get this arm to the other side. I'm standing up, I'm trying to fight. Okay, this is a huge fight. So bare minimum, and it's a lot of movement, right? Bare minimum, I'm gonna at least try this. There's a lot of steps, so I'm gonna go over it again. See if you guys can pick out a few more things, and then we'll drill it one more time. And then after that, we'll see. It's probably will be the last technique. You grab here, okay? I start to off balance. I see there's an opening. I start with the elbow. Windshield wiper through, get here. I'm gonna go for the sweep, but he starts to get good head position on me, pushes me down. I grab my pinch headlock, okay? One thing that's very important is that I have a long arm and a short arm. So I go long arm, short arm, and I start to work my way to the side. Now, I can either get up and go for this sweep, or maybe he pulls his head up now, and I get to the shoulder punch now. Okay. I'm off to get up. Now look, I'm in a double butterfly scenario now, because I took that leg, right? So I'm pinched on his shoulder. If I don't, he pulls out. Boom. So I'm pinching his shoulder, and I'm keeping it glued to my chest. They trying to pull out, it's not going to happen. I'm flexible, so personally, I can just put my feet directly on his hip. This is going to give me leverage for when I go into the arm bar. So I start going to the side, and I start extending myself out. So the whole time, I'm staying tight. Me being tight on him, it's going to give me control. So I start to extend my core this way, and I'm looking for this elbow. So this elbow goes over top where that elbow will be. This hand goes over top of both. So now I extend myself out, I find that elbow, and I go. Okay. But I'm using this for a setup, so watch. This rips over top. I'm on one hip. He goes to get up. I get onto both hips, and I get into my top one. So now I want to eliminate some steps to my traditional triangle. So I have the anchor leg. I've got the pivot leg. I push this one in and bring my anchor leg in. Okay. Or I decide I want to go for something of a stronger lock. So I'm going to hip up, bring this to one side, pivot with my feet, and try to get this shoulder to disappear. If I can get the shoulder to disappear, it's one of the strongest triangles I can do. One, two. Okay. He goes to get up. I say, I'm coming up with you. Pinch. Foot. Come back down. Extend myself out. Into the Gatame. He decides no way. So as he does, I'm going to transition to grab his arm. He goes to get up. I pivot. He hides. I finish. Open it. Hip up. Bring this to the right side. And I go over top. But notice, though, that if he hides this, I can try to finish right away. Otherwise, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra steps. So it's arguable that if you can try to get that finish, that finish is more technical because it edits out the rest of those movements. And the likelihood of you doing this, coming up, and there being some sort of defense on his end where he escapes is pretty high. So to hedge my bets, I'm just going to go straight for this. It's pretty strong. It's Bernardo Feria that I learned this from on the instructor. Oh no, right, in this Raleigh OSC one. So it's pretty high level. Okay. Very good. You want to try it again? Okay, let's try it one more time. 1, 2.
That's it for today. Huge thanks again to everyone at Willow Point BJJ for having us out. If you found something useful, make sure to hit like, share it with a teammate, and subscribe for more breakdowns and techniques. And don't forget, timestamps are in the description if you want to jump back and review any part. See you on the next one.